Welcome to Beyond by Wings, the business side of dentistry, brought to you by Edwards & Associates PC. Join us as we discuss how to build your dental practice, optimize your income, and plan for your future. This podcast is distributed with the understanding that Edwards & Associates PC is not rendering legal, accounting, or professional advice. Listeners should consult with their business advisors before acting on any of the information that is shared. At Edwards & Associates PC, our business is the business of dentistry. For help or more information, visit our website at enassociates.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond by Wings. In today's episode, we will be talking about the biggest challenges dentists are facing today. And to talk more about this subject matter and to be able to dive more deeper into the various components of what causes these challenges for a dentist, we have our podcast director, Erin. Hi, Erin.
Hi. I'm not going to be able to give much information, but I can ask questions.
No, that's good. And I would actually disagree because you're a business owner yourself.
Yes.
And a lot of these problems, they're not so much dental specific. I mean, of course, there's some dental specific ones, but it's overall for an entrepreneur. What are some of the challenges that they're facing today? So I feel like you would be able to have some valuable input in this.
All right. Yeah. And I know it's to your point, it's happening to a lot of companies. Like we were talking about DSOs before we started recording. Like you've got these bigger conglomerates going against the mom and pops, and how does a mom and pop thrive? And I can only imagine it's more important than ever.
Problems. Yeah, absolutely.
In dental world, in the dental world.
Yeah. So I can see that you're already thinking about it. You're like, oh, I keep hearing this. Sure, that's an issue. Is that something that Ash is going to cover? You got it. It's here.
All right. Awesome.
Definitely going to cover it. In fact, we have so many of these things to cover that this is going to be a 3-part series. So this is going to be part 1.
Okay.
And if you guys are still interested in listening to what I have to say more and what Erin and I have to discuss more about the subject matter, please tune in, subscribe, and download to our part 2 of this episode, which will be published soon after.
Absolutely.
All right. So to start right off the bat, let's talk about PPOs, reimbursement rates, right? So,
yes.
With the dental practice, especially a lot of practice that accept PPOs, insurance, you may or may not know this, but they don't always receive the amount that they charge their patients. They actually get a previously negotiated amount that are called reimbursement rates. And with the rising costs these days and that revenue stuck at that same reimbursement rate, it's actually less money going to the practice owners. And that's becoming more and more of an issue because of some of the other rising costs that we will talk about soon after this that needs to be addressed, right?
Yes.
Now, it's not as simple as, oh, you know what? Let's just stop taking insurance. I'm sure with the existing business owners, they're having a mini heart attack. They're like, oh, no, I'm going to lose all my patients if I do that. So the answer is yes and no. I would say that yes, that is definitely a strong consideration. No, don't do it immediately. Have a structured plan. Yeah. And it typically takes about 2 years to do it successfully. And yes, you do lose about 2% of your patient base. But the gain that you receive on the other end of it will definitely help you keep more in your pocket at the end of the day. So it's definitely something to look into and to consider. And I feel like I get at least one call every 2 days regarding this, that, hey, my expenses are going up, my overhead's going up. I feel like I'm making less money, with more years passing. What do I do? Yeah. Right.
Well, and I know, I've talked about, my husband's a chiropractor, and he faced the same issue because he was even looking, you look at numbers of, okay, I'm busy, right? I'm full.
Right.
But he was spending money hiring somebody to fight for the claims, right? There was that issue of, there was a whole nother line item in his books to say, I need you to help me get these claims, because then they're getting denied. And then is he following up? And sometimes it's a game, right? So there's that perspective to look at. I think too, I know for the dental office we go to, they have, we've talked about this on previous episodes, but your own membership.
Right.
Adding that. But they bill me full And then I have to go, they'll send it to my insurance company, but I get reimbursed. So they'll say, this was a $300 service. I don't know what your insurance is going to pay. That's not our problem. You pay us, and then you'll get reimbursed by your insurance company. So it's out of their hands. So I've just seen it work several different ways.
Right.
And I know my dental practice is very hard to get into. They're doing just fine without
Right. And that's part of how you get out of network.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what it means. Fee for service doesn't mean you stop taking insurance. It just means you're no longer in contract with some of these insurance companies. And there's this way about how do you still accept payment?
Yeah.
And how do you still let your new patients that are walking in continue to be with you by saying the right things? So it's not just about changing procedures and systems, but also how are you communicating it with your potential leads, right?
Yeah.
That, hey, we're fee for service. However, we can help you get that reimbursement.
Yep.
So yeah, some careful planning, some future foresight will definitely help with that. But definitely one of those things that a lot of the dentists, business owners specifically, are facing today.
Yeah. I think it's scarcity too. I know for every business owner, it's scary. Sometimes, you have that, I know from my perspective, maybe you have that client who's just draining you, asking for discounts all the time. And you're like, oh, but this is money, right? Sometimes just letting those go. And it's better to take less customers, take great customers, and make more money on them.
True. That's true. Yeah. Quality over quantity.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Very true. Very true. Now, as I'm looking through my list, the very second thing, and this I'm sure everybody can attest to, is staffing shortages and the significantly higher salaries that business owners are having to pay. Right. Again, ties in with the bottom line shrinking, right? Because payroll, part of overhead. To top it off, if you're not fully staffed, at that point, you as the clinician, you're having to pick up some of the management slack, and that fills up some of your time working of your working week. Means you see less patients. So potentially it's not just, oh, you know what, I'm operating with less staff, so my payroll's down, so that's good. No. Yes, you're keeping your payroll expenses down, but you're on the top end, your revenue is also going down because you're not being able to see enough patients. So whichever way you look at it, not so good.
Right.
Now, how do we go about it? We know the problem.
Yeah.
And this is where I would say we have to get creative. First, identify what happened.
Yeah.
Right? Educate yourself a little bit. So we know what it was like pre-pandemic. And then the reason I have to bring this up is because we've seen these striking changes specifically after the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. I think the unicorn of all the staff in the dental world would be the hygienist.
Yeah.
Part of it is because during pandemic, a lot of hygienists realized that this is probably not the profession for me. Or if I'm married, or if I have a partner who's also contributing towards the household, do I still need to work? A lot of hygienists just completely stop working altogether. So we've had a lot of these shifts, which caused a reduction in the number of hygienists that are available for hiring. The second thing is because of the increased demand, but lack of supply of hygienists, a lot of businesses started offering a lot of things like benefits, right? Or a sign-on bonus or an increased pay or some kind of a bonus system that they can partake in right off the bat. All of these things made it even harder for, let's say, someone who just started a practice or someone who's been doing business a certain way, but all of a sudden is like, my existing model isn't working. With both those instances, what you have to realize is that you have to adapt to the way things are now. So if your competitors are, offering benefit packages, maybe that's something you need to talk to your financial advisor about. Like, hey, can I afford to offer benefit packages to my employees? And what kind would give me the best return? Are there some tax advantages, by having these benefits? The other thing that I always say is, I know when you listen to some podcasts or read some self-learning business books, they always talk about division of labor, right? You create a system where you divide your staff or your team members into various roles. Now, in an ideal world, that's what we do. That's what
Mhm.
we've done. However, again, going back to adapting, you may need to change that up a little bit, meaning some cross training may be needed. Now, you are going to do your best to find the staff that you need, whether it's posting on Dental Post, Indeed.com, what have you,
Yeah.
ZipRecruiter, whichever application or website you want to use. But what if you've been doing it for so many months? You've used all the search keywords, you've done everything that people have talked to you, and still you're not really getting the benefit that you were hoping. What do? Well, this is the thing. You need to adapt. You need to cross-train. Maybe not just look for people with experience. Maybe try hiring someone with no dental experience and think about having some kind of a training program within your practice. There's actually a lot of companies out there that offer online webinars, pre-recorded training sessions. They only charge a one-time flat fee per month. So you can technically hire a waitress, right, who has great personality skills, people skills, and have them have a login on one of those sites, watch those videos, learn, take notes, like how to file an insurance claim, how to sell a treatment plan, how to welcome a patient that looks anxious, looks scared. How do you call patients to reschedule them? All of those things, you have videos available on these sites. And there are two benefits, really, that I can think of. One, because they've never been in that dental world, you can train them to adapt to your culture.
Right.
And oftentimes they're more willing, right? The second thing is because they have zero experience, they don't expect that you are going to pay them with the premium dollars, right? So win-win in both situations. The only cost that I can think of, again, signing up with a subscription-based online training website, not too expensive. The other is the learning curve might be a little bit higher than, let's say, or longer than, let's say, someone who already has the experience.
Right.
But again, being creative here, right?
Right. Exactly.
So that's the key thing. Now, Erin, I'm sure you have had these issues as a business owner too.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, and I'm curious if in the dental world, I know things have post-pandemic, anybody could get hired to do, like, it was high. Now things are definitely curving where jobs are a little bit harder to find. And so to your point, like, maybe it's not straight out of experience, but there are people looking for jobs, looking for new careers, looking for new opportunities. Right. And this is the time to train them and find them and, give them that different perspective. So it could be, to your point, a win-win.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's just one aspect of it. The other thing is, in the dental practice, you have something called the front office and then you have the back office. Front office would be, the people filing the insurance, selling the treatment plans, scheduling appointments for patients. And then you have the back office, which is basically the dental assistants.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes, depending on which state you are, because rules are different in each state, but in some states, you are allowed to cross-train them.
Yeah.
Right? And if you're in a state where that's allowed, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
In fact, some states even allow dental assistants to do some cleaning as long as it's below the gum line. So if you're having some trouble finding a hygienist and you're having to do all the cleaning work, look into your state regulations and see if you can have like a modified dental assistant with additional responsibilities that can help you with that.
Yeah.
Maybe pay them a little more. It'll be cheaper than a dental hygienist, but certainly you can utilize that. So educating yourself of what your state allows, what the rules are, being creative, and then just making sure that it's beneficial for both parties.
Yeah.
So not just you as a business owner, but also for the employee.
Yeah.
Right? Because the other thing is turnover rate.
Yeah.
Right. You may find the ideal candidate and you're like, yes, you know what? I'm going to pay him or her whatever they're asking for. But you don't know if they feel the same way about you or your business.
Yeah.
You don't know if they're going to stick around long. So also focusing on the culture, right?
Yes.
Talking with your employees on a regular basis to find out if they're happy.
Yeah.
Right. If they see a future with you, if they have some wants, maybe they're a dental assistant that wants to become a hygienist. Can you help them with that? Things of that nature. Now, talking about staffing, I think we also need to touch upon the hiring strategies for dental practice owners, right? Let's say you know that, okay, you know what? I need to hire another front desk person, or I'm about to bring in an associate, so I need a dental assistant to help them out during those days. How do you go about it? How do you go about it in a manner where you can find quality staff and is okay with the culture that you've already incorporated in your business, right? Now, you as a business owner, what would be your common go-to? It's like, okay, this is where I'm going to start.
Well, I think being really clear about what your culture is really important. And like what you value as a company, what are like absolute no's when you're hiring somebody. It seems simple, but I bet you any small business just in general, let alone not specifically dental, but a lot of times you're a dentist, you're starting a business, you're taking customers. We don't think of that bigger picture, right? So I think getting really clear about what that culture looks like or what you want it to look like is crucial to know who fits. And then you could even do, I think, personality assessments and, understanding like what you have in your staff already and how they're going to fit is really important. You don't want to have all one personality type, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
But having that clarity, I think, is crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, some foresight on understanding your culture and then looking for those traits in the potential candidates that come in for an interview. And then, again, in the dental world, they do something called a working interview. So even during the working interview, you can kind of look for those traits, see if the values align.
Yeah.
And they go from there. So yeah, those are true. But again, where would you start to find these people that will even come to you for the interview?
Yeah. I mean, I know for my industry, I know there's just a lot of websites that are out there that are great.
Right.
Indeed is one I've relied on heavily, ZipRecruiter.
Right.
I don't know from a dental perspective. I just know those are
There's some
great
specific
areas.
ones
I mean,
too, yeah.
even just in Facebook groups, I know
right.
I think one of the most overlooked group that are moms, like moms that want to be at home. They want some flexibility with their kids, but they want to work. So again, thinking outside the box, do you have to have somebody sitting there 5 days a week from 8 to 5? Probably not. You could bring somebody in. That 9 to 2 is that sweet spot where a lot of moms drop off their kids at their,
right.
pre-K program or even school. Can they be home at school and can they still take a load off your plate to be able to help up front? But I know even just being in mom groups on Facebook, finding those, hey, I'm looking for work. I'm trying to find, and again, it's that opportunity. Well, maybe they don't have dental experience, but we can offer that flexibility. 9 to 2 is a really heavy time for our office if they can help in there.
Right.
And then, maybe we don't take as many people from 3 o'clock on.
Yeah.
It just, again, it's all about flexibility, but getting creative.
Right. I agree. Yeah. And you actually mentioned something very useful there is go outside of the norm of just, posting an ad on something like Indeed, and for dentists, more dental specific, like Dental Post or something like that. Go outside of that, like maybe become part of a closed group on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Like the mommies group.
Yeah.
Or utilizing apps like Nextdoor, even though it's a neighborhood app. But you never know if somebody's looking for a job right now.
Yeah.
The other place that has had some positive results based off of the conversations I've had with my clients are study clubs.
Oh, yeah.
So if you're part of a study club, mention it.
Yeah.
Hey, my hygienist just quit. I'm looking for one.
Yeah.
If you know of any, please send them my way. You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Especially if you guys meet quite often, there's a camaraderie between all the members of the study club. And they genuinely want to see you succeed.
Right.
Because they're all in it together. So don't just stick to that one resource of posting on Dental Post or Indeed. Talk to your peers.
Yeah.
And let them know, hey, I need some help. You're not going to get help unless you ask for it.
100%. And I would even to the Facebook, we talked about Facebook posts, put that post out on your Facebook. Like you're probably friends with other dentists. You're probably, you know what I mean? Like but to your point, like put it out there and ask for it, or LinkedIn, say, hey, we're hiring position A and B. Does anybody have any suggestions? They're going to tag people, make it public. That's going to be seen.
Right.
You never know.
Right. And going hand in hand with what we talked about, we also need to consider the competition, right? And in this industry, we have DSOs, the PE folks, they're offering benefits and packages that you have to think of that your potential candidates will also be looking at when they're considering to be hired. Now, to talk more about this, you'll have to listen to part 2.
Yeah, we got a lot to cover. Yeah.
That's true. So look forward to our next episode, which will be published
in 2 weeks.
Thank you for that, Erin. And then we'll talk more about it. So till then, take care. Bye. Thanks for listening today. Be sure to subscribe to Beyond by Wings on your favorite podcast platform. For more information, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, or reach out to us on our website. You can also shoot us an email at info@eandassociates.com.